And then I'll get a second container, and this will be for maybe screws on the top part of the case, or screws holding the keyboard or the screen on. And then when you're down to motherboard level, there's more screws. So you could use another case for that. And that's one way to track what screws go where. I've seen people take plastic bags and lay them down in layers. Anything on the bottom layer goes into that bag. Keyboard layer goes in that bag. The top layer goes in that bag. The motherboard layer goes in that bag. And they layer them on top of each other so they know the order in which they go back. And I've had one listener tell me he creates a diagram of the actual laptop and draws the screw holes in the diagram. And then when he takes each screw out, he just puts it in the picture of the screw hole that he drew, which I think is a pretty clever idea. And same with the motherboard. And he does that for each layer that he has to. Well, that's pretty much all you need to know for now. If you watch the case study videos, you'll see some of these techniques to put in action, and I think then you'll be ready to do it yourself. Good luck. Okay, here's an HP DV8000. Had some iced tea spilled into the keyboard. So what we're going to do is replace the keyboard, which I always like to do if something spills in the keyboard and one of the keys isn't working or the keyboard's not working in the least. I just replace the whole keyboard. And then I always check the motherboard to see if any of the liquid got onto the motherboard. So we're going to take the whole computer apart. I just took the hard drive cover off there. The battery's out. And now we're just going to inspect to see if we see any signs of water damage. And under that hard drive, you can see the white, that's from liquid, that's from water. So the water, or the iced tea, actually got down through the computer to the bottom of the hard drive. So it made it through the system. So I don't even turn the computer on until I check if the motherboard's okay. If there's any liquid that's spilled in the computer, I never turn it on. I pull the battery out immediately. I don't hook up the AC adapter. I don't even test it. I just take it apart and inspect the motherboard as first priority. I'm looking at the hard drive there, just checking if any corrosion is on the hard drive circuit board itself. And I tell the customer too, I say, look, I don't recommend turning this on. It may or may not work, but if you want to save the computer, let me take it apart and inspect the motherboard, make sure the motherboard's clean, there's no liquid still in there, and then we'll turn it on. So they understand that, and they're willing to pay for the diagnostic, even if the computer's fried. At least I'm giving it my best shot. So these hard drives are in here, and they're in a little docking bay. So you just gotta find the right angle to pull them out. While I'm working on that, I just want to say it is important when somebody brings in a computer that has liquid spilled in it and they say, I spilled liquid in this, no matter if they say if it works or it doesn't work, don't even try powering it on. Tell them you need to take it apart first, make sure everything's dry, and then turn it on. Because you don't want to be the one responsible for frying the motherboard if there's still liquid in there. And right now I'm just taking the RAM cover off and pulling out the RAM. And we got the wireless card down in there too, so we're going to pull that out. We want to get to the motherboard, and we want to inspect the motherboard for any white spots, corrosion. That looks like all the components. Most of the components are coming out. There's the CD drive. Okay, now we're going to start unscrewing screws from the bottom cover. Some of the screws have indicators on them, some don't. So you just have to use your own little plan on how to remember where each screw goes back. A lot of times the screws that hold on the bottom cover are the same size, but different computers have different screw sizes. So and you can see on this computer there's some indicators. Those numbers next to each hole tells you what size screw goes in each hole. It's usually measured in millimeters when they do that. On Toshiba it's like F5 will stand for 5 millimeters, I believe, and this one it just says the number and it says millimeters.